Okay, we're gonna try this again because that was horrible the first take.
Hello, hello.
This is Dwayne Garnett,
I am Cordell Gibson.
and we're getting started with the brother empowerment. Trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Now things are working. How's your week, bro?
Brother, my week was good. It was cold. A little bit too long, but today is Friday Eve. Tomorrow is Friday, and I'm looking forward to this weekend because two things happen this weekend. Duke plays North Carolina, and I'm not doing anything.
I think those are lies. I feel like you're going to be doing something because every time you plan not to do something, that's when you have to do something.
I don't appreciate that, but you know what? It's okay. You know, it is very, very, it's fine.
Okay. We got my brother coming on.
See, we got two. Is that two people on camera? Oh, it's watching.
Yeah, Kim is watching. We got my brother. It says adding.
Mm-hmm.
It says adding, bro. So we're trying to see what's going on. Connecting.
Uh-oh. There he goes.
There you go. Turn it the other way, bro.
Okay.
There you go.
Peace,
There we go.
What's going on, bro?
Bam.
Yeah,
Okay,
we in there now.
What's going on with you?
What's going on, bro?
Yeah, we in there. I can't call it my brothers another day. You know how I go. Just trying to maintain, keep my head above water, keep positivity going.
I'm gonna tell you now that sweater smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and give you props.
I see you styling, bro.
Man,
I see you styling.
Man, it's been kind of cold, man. You know,
kind of,
what's out the
man.
gift. Yeah, more than kind of. Yeah, it's been cold.
Well, I ain't gonna say that, bro. I'm just saying the sweater is fly.
Yeah.
So we got to give you props.
Appreciate it, my brothers. Thank you, my brother.
So for those who are just joining us for the very first time, this is actually part 2 of a discussion when we had brother Kerwin Pittman-El, who's an author and activist.
Mm-hmm.
And we had him on. He has a book that is out. Tell him the name of your book, brother.
The book's called Love Yours, A Guide on How to Love Yourself. It's basically geared towards different guys teaching people how to love themselves, self-empowerment, self-help. We know if you don't love yourself, it's kind of hard for you to truly love anything or anyone else. And so it all starts with self originally. And so a lot of people will look outside of self for that love and that comfort when all they need to do is look within. It's in them the whole time.
Well, I definitely agree with you on that, brother. And it's so perfect because a lot of people who don't know, we have actually a certified love advocate program, and 75% of the training deals with self-love, self-reflection. It actually is a self-reflection training process, and that's why it's like I love when things organically happen. I met Brother Kerwin. This is the power of social media. Met him through the power of social media, and then we were at a community event together, and everything that happened just happened like it was supposed to happen. And if y'all missed the conversation that we had last week, you definitely have to get the replay because it was a lot of key nuggets in there. But one of the things that we want to talk about this week, which is a spillover from last week, is we want to talk about the effects of colorism and how that impacts brother empowerment, brother unity as a whole. So I'm going to throw it to you, Brother Kerwin. When you think about colorism, what is your definition for those who may not be exposed to the term colorism?
Me, myself, personally, when I think about colorism, I internalize it as different shades ultimately being played against each other, feeling some type of way. It's just a division or divisiveness between different hues of individuals. So it doesn't necessarily have to be those with darker hue or just those with lighter hue, Caucasians. It could be, just a whole spectrum of individuals.
Do you feel less being a lighter hue brother of color, African American? Do you feel like you have to defend your quote unquote blackness?
Um, my generation has kind of made it to where we don't have to so much defend it, but in a sense, yeah. In a sense, I feel like I have to defend it in the past previously before I began to love myself. I felt like I had to kind of defend it because I would be bombarded and attacked with numerous light skinned jokes, and automatically we equate the lighter skin of person with the less for males anyway, the less masculineness, I feel, in my opinion. So the lighter someone is, you say, yeah, he's soft. Look how he's a pushover. I can get over him, or he's a Oreo. He's just different terms like this. So automatically, when it comes to different settings, being of lighter hue plays a significant role in kind of how people, majority of people, let me say that. I can't even say majority. Some people, those who are kind of not spiritually or mentally mature enough, they will automatically define you based on your color. And so those are the people who kind of will kind of stigmatize you because of your color. So yeah, it's I definitely feel like sometimes I had to defend it in the past. Now I'm at a point in my life where you accept me how I am or not. I mean, really, I don't, because I'm gonna keep pushing and doing my thing regardless. But for those individuals such as kids who haven't reached that level, or teens who haven't reached that point in their life where they're comfortable with their self, this could be a form of bullying. I mean, honestly, it is. It really is, and it's sad.
So you feel like it's a lot of things that you said, and I definitely want to unpack it. And I know the desire to when we're on a platform like this, we sometimes want to be politically correct, but I know these are some of the conversations that people don't want to talk about. And so you talked about something before you got to a place of loving yourself, it did bother you. How soon or how far, when did you start loving yourself, and when did it stop bothering you?
I began to love myself, say mid-20s, mid-20s. I'm gonna say that. And it stopped bothering me because I became comfortable with myself. So I began to reflect on who I was as a man, on what direction I was headed in. First, my concept of what a man was, because as a man thinks, so shall he be. So it all starts with how you think and the way you're molded and you're shaped. And so how I seen the ultimate man in my mind was the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Medgar Evers, the Ben Chavises, the Noble Drew Ali's, the Marcus Garvey's, just the ultimate stand-up brother who stuck to his morals and stuck to his guns. Now, granted, I didn't see every characteristic that these individuals possess, but I took the nuggets from these individuals that I felt like I could apply to myself. And in my mind, built the ultimate man and said, okay, this is the man I envision myself to be. And so when I came to that point of realization in my mid-20s, it was kind of like an aha moment, like, aha. And so I began to see that different things that would bother me didn't begin to bother me no more. Like the I'll Be Sure stuff, because deep down, look at fake I'll Be Sure, little bald head I'll Be Sure. You get them type of, and so when I was younger, it might have been like, yeah, all right. In my mind, I said, okay, well, yeah, try me then. Because automatically, I'm thinking, I'll be sure you trying to call me soft on it. That's your way of saying I'm soft. Or that's your way of saying I ain't about that, or something like that. But as I begin to get older, it became funny. And so, yeah, it became funny. I could actually laugh at, like, if I felt like the intentions wasn't malicious to begin with, it was funny. But if I felt like it was an underlying current of me trying to send up somebody trying to be covert with their aggression, the passive aggressiveness, then I kind of took offense to it. And so
tell me this though, because you said something there. You said when people used to say the little light skinned jokes, you were like, "Well, try me then." Do you think that added to your aggression though? Like, do you think that probably put you on edge in situations? I mean, just being on, how we on guard, period. Do you think that made you kind of more aggressive than you naturally wanted to be?
Oh yes. The brother you see before you today is not the brother I've always seen. And so, meaning like, so so automatically coming from the street culture, you always had to have that kind of bravado, and being light skinned on top of was just an extra additive to where you had to. I felt like you had to go that extra mile to be perceived as somebody not to be taken lightly, as a joke, somebody that you're not gonna run over, somebody that you're not gonna push over, and so that did kind of shape my perception of myself.
And you know what's so funny? But before we get into it, Lori said hello, so tell her hello, hello. Kimberly Dixon said hello.
Hey.
Natanya said hello, hello. Felicia said hello, hello.
Hey, everybody.
Uncle Marcus is in the building. Uncle Marcus is officially everybody's uncle. Kerwin, that's your uncle. Tell Uncle Marcus hello.
Okay. What's going on? What's up, Unc? What's up, Uncle Marcus? What you up to, Unc?
Now, Natanya said that light-skinned dudes have it hard sometimes. And I can honestly say it was weird for me. Like, majority of the women in my family growing up were light-skinned. But like my mom was a single mom, but she raised dark-skinned boys. So I don't think that we got the light-skinned versus black, dark-skinned type thing. But I will say that probably sculpted what we either thought was beautiful or not. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And sometimes I can be honest with myself. Like, I remember the ignorant things that I used to say that probably was damaging, because if it didn't look like my mom or if it didn't look like mainstream, I probably contributed to some of those negative comments, like what you experienced. And we think it's funny and we think it's light, but the truth of the matter is, it's not funny. Like, yeah, you were able to love yourself, but let's be honest, you had to go through a journey of loving yourself without all the extra stuff. That just added to it. So, but before it was something I was going to say, but I'm going to stop there. So we got 3 different shades of darkness, which I think mine is better. But let me stop. I'm joking. But we got 3 levels of darkness. And Cordell, interesting, he made it a post that he was quasi-joking, but we think it was some truth in there a little bit. Where he said there is a difference between being light-skinned and
light brown.
Yeah. Why is that even important? Talk about it.
Well, the whole reason I made that post is because I saw it somewhere else on another activist page, and what she has said was that a lot of people that say that they are actually light skinned are actually just light brown. So, and I had to think about it for a second too, because the definition of light skin has been, I won't say it's been warped, but it's been turned on so many different ways. Some people think if you anything lighter than midnight black, then you're light skinned. Whereas some people think if you brown skin, then you're light skinned. So
he didn't mean anything for those who are darker to my midnight black. I'm offended.
Being real here. And what I found is that on that thread itself, there was a lot of people who were brown skinned or light brown who were calling themselves light skinned, and the actual person. The actual actress was saying, there's a lot of people out here, y'all sound like, she called them hopefuls, because they were, how these people saying, well, I used to be called light skin, this and that. And so I put the post up saying that because I do believe there's a difference. I mean, being light brown or the lightest shade of brown is different from being light skin. When I think of someone who's light skin, I think of someone who can almost pass, like a Steph Curry or his brother Seth Curry. Those are light skinned brothers.
It's funny you say that though. It's 2 things. It's 2
to me,
things
those
I
are
want
light
to say.
skinned brothers right there, light skinned people.
In our generation, we call them light bright. You got the red bone, you got the high yellow. But the question, but here's the thing: why does any of that even matter?
Oh, I'll jump on that. One, I would say, okay, so first of all, the official definition of colorism, even though the official definition is sometimes wrong, but the official definition of colorism is being treated different socially based on your skin tone, your skin color. And I will definitely say that I'm pretty much in line with that socially, politically, and all that. And I will say that's important to answer the brother Jay's question. It's important because in this society, especially in the US, people who have dark skin are treated way harsher than anyone else in society. We're talking about when it comes to jail sentencing, when it comes to work environments, when it comes to everyday interactions. And so colorism has a way bigger effect on a certain group of people within our community than it does anyone else. And so And I think the conversation with colorism gets bogged down sometimes because some people center themselves instead of looking at the actual facts and the reality of things, or the actuality, as my brother would say.
I think I agree with that. I think that there's a weird mixture though. I think for dark-skinned men, it works to our advantage. I could be wrong because I'm a dark-skinned man, but I think for light-skinned women, it works to their advantage. Because in a lot of my jobs, for 18 years, a lot of my jobs, I was either the only male or the only black male in my profession.
Yeah.
And for some strange reason, I feel like either I was the token or they chose me because it was like, if we're going to get a black person, let's get a black one.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like colorism may negatively impact light men, because when you think about it, I do think about a lot of the light-skinned men we used to pick at, laugh at. They used to have probably a harder time, but it was the total opposite in how we treated light-skinned women.
Yeah, I'll say that it works in some advantages sometimes in certain areas of life. I would also say that some of those advantages are intertwined with being a living, breathing fetish.
What do you mean?
Being a dark-skinned man, especially right now in certain areas of media, being a dark-skinned man with, especially with a nice physique, is touted as being the pinnacle of blackness. You're a black man, and you're strong, and so yeah, exactly.
Tall,
so
dark, and handsome.
And in some realms, especially when it comes to other groups, other ethnicity, that is a literal fetish. That is what, when they envision or they think of a black man, that's what they want. And when they see that, it's like, oh, that's what black is. Where we span a wide spectrum of everything. So I would say that it definitely does work in some advantages, some ways. But then when it's bad, when you go into court, or when you have to get sentenced to jail, being a dark-skinned man is worse because you get harsher sentences. So you're looked at as more of an aggressor.
I wonder if there's some statistical data on that. I'm saying like dark-skinned men getting harsher sentences than light-skinned men. Because the funny thing is, I do see a lot of mug shots. I'm just asking. I don't know. I didn't do any research.
I have,
but it seemed like a lot of the black dudes that I've seen have been light-skinned, because in my mind, I'm always thinking they had to prove something. And I could be wrong. Yeah. So that's why I was saying, I wonder if there was some statistical data saying either one are black, darker-skinned people getting harsher sentences,
right,
or the frequency of who commits the most crimes. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I will say that there is multiple people have done research in that, and that dark-skinned black people as a whole get harsher sentences and have a harsher time with a lot of issues in society. And so, and also, I will address.
You say dark-skinned people?
Darker skinned people.
How you know?
What do you mean?
See, this is my point.
I'm talking about the research, man.
Okay, I was about to say.
I'm talking about the research.
I thought you was about to do a freedom walk.
No. Okay, I'm gonna say one last thing. I'm gonna say one more thing, and then we'll go. You know what I'm saying? We'll keep going with this. So I will say though that one of the things one of the things that happens with the colorism conversations within our community is that, you know, you get lighter skinned or lighter hued people, brothers and sisters, who say, you know, I was teased when I was in school and stuff like that. Now that definitely happens. And I think that definitely has an effect on you. And I also think though that as adults, when we weigh that against the actual factual statistical harsh treatment that our darker skinned people face in society, I think the scales don't balance out. And I think that's one of the ways that the colorism conversation, gets just bogged down with too many people centering themselves, because we have a certain section of our community that is really getting beat down by supremacy, and in the form of colorism, other things, and we have to really acknowledge that.
Okay, I know you was about to say something, brother. I want you to say it. I just want to get some comment. Now, Natanya said that's true. I'm not sure what she said. It was true too, because it was a lot of going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then she said it's important for identity. I'm not sure what she was saying about that. And then she said light skin is different from bright. See,
I mean,
I agree. I agree.
But okay.
She said Steph Curry is bright like Drake. And then she said it's a reality of our society.
It is.
Kimberly Dixon said that's true. We don't know what she was saying that's true to. And then Natanya said the real culprit is white supremacy, which you talked about. Mm-hmm. The system has made colorism or classism acceptable measures of judging character.
That's true. That's right.
And then she said it is, brother. And then she said, to keep it real, though, in history, a lot of activists were light-skinned because they did have something to prove. Malcolm X, Angela Davis being the example. Mm-hmm. And I do want to say something about that, but I knew you had something you wanted to say, Brother Kerwin. What was on your mind?
That about threw my train of thought right there.
Well, no, it's funny because I was thinking that, and she said it. Get out of our head, girl.
I lost my train of thought with that one, right? But back to the activists and those being of lighter hue. I've never really kind of looked at it that way, but now that she's mentioned it, and I don't know if it's more so that they got something to prove, because I don't feel like I have something to prove. I'm just not scared to speak up and stand up for what's right, and to speak out against injustice on any levels. So like if I'm an activist, I'm not just a champion for one particular group of people. I'm a champion for all people. It just so happened that the particular group of people that I'm a champion for looks like me. And not saying light skin, I mean this black in general. But I haven't really thought about that all activists or majority of them are lighter hue because they feel like they have something to prove. Because at that level, once you reach an activist stage, it's like you're willing to die for what you believe in. If you're a true activist, you're willing to die for what you believe in and for helping others, and you're willing to give your life for helping. And a lot of people have. And so I wouldn't say they necessarily have something to prove. They just at a point in their life where they feel like, okay, I went through life light-skinned, and so I faced the backlash from being light-skinned. And majority, especially in those times, like you had these brothers shunned by the darker hue people of their people, and then shunned by the Caucasian people because they wasn't Caucasians. And so you had a group that was kind of isolated. So in the end, what they will make some individuals be is just I don't care. I have a I don't care mentality, and not just say in the sense of a bad way, but in the sense of I will stand up and fight way. Like I don't care about losing my life for this because of da 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 da. I done went through the rocks from this side and the rocks from this side, so each rock kind of trained me and kind of helped me grow thicker skin, and so now I'm willing to take on.
But I think that's it's several. If we really are unpacking the layers, I think that there's several things that we do have to speak to that we don't speak to. Like the fact that you said I never thought about it. Well, dark skinned people do, right? Because we do look for people that look like us. And if we really go through history, like a good example, Rosa Parks got credit for what Claudette did before her.
Yep.
And Claudette was a dark-skinned woman.
That's right.
Rosa Parks was a light-skinned black woman who was perceived as attractive. And so the same thing for Angela Davis, the same thing for Malcolm X, who was extremely light. You know what I mean? And we can go on, and let's even change it. We can talk about today. If we look at, for instance, the Alicia Keys versus the Fantasia scenario, Fantasia was dragged through the mud for dating a man who was single, who was separated, that she knew nothing about, whereas Alicia Keys was praised as an activist for getting pregnant by a married man. Legally married. Still living together married. If we even go further, it's like, I'm a big fan of Beyonce, but a lot of people won't admit that there is colorism in that. Like, yes, she's a talented person and she works hard for everything that she does, but she's not the best singer or the best performer or the best entertainer, and not the only one who works hard, but colorism is there. But she's perceived as an activist as well. She's perceived as black social consciousness. The same thing for John Legend. These are light-skinned brothers, but whereas when the darker people say the same exact thing, they are perceived and labeled differently. So my question is, and I sit on this, I don't care how light you are. If you are a brother, you are a brother to me. But my bigger question is, why isn't we using, if we recognize that colorism is there, why aren't we using the privileged to help the underprivileged? Meaning, if you get access to things that I don't get access to, why don't you just use your access to help me? I don't care who gets to it first, but why don't we do it? Just like if there's opportunities for me because I'm dark skinned, I think about helping all my brothers and sisters. Why is the argument on ethnicity versus advancement?
Because of centering feelings. I'm sorry, brother.
I think. Yeah. No, go ahead, brother, man.
No, you go talk, man. You the guest. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He passionate about this one. Look at him. He just talking all the time, not Kerwin.
I mean, we all are. Because it's a touchy situation. It's a touchy subject that a lot of people don't talk about, and so it's one of those things that kind of go unspoken within our community. Now I don't know if females talk about this amongst themselves, but I know males ain't necessarily talking about this because, for one, they don't want to admit that this is going on, or that they are taking part in this, and so some, I believe, are unconsciously taking part in this, because if you don't necessarily point it out to them, they won't necessarily see it as a wrong, because they've been conditioned to do it for so long, which from generation to generation to generation. And to not go back to the past, but to go back to facts, slavery played a big part of this. And when it comes to the Willie Lynch syndrome, like I told y'all, and so people still have these divisive mentalities that's pitted down from generation to generation to generation, to where it's so ingrained in us, it just feels natural. We don't even realize we're doing it. So you see that brother, the dark brother, they say, look at that, you know what I'm saying? Look at that, you know what I'm saying? And so versus you see a light-skinned brother over there, you're like, okay, what's up, brother? What's going on, brother, man? You more amped to the unconscious mind is more amped to say, okay, well, what's he going on? What he got going on? I'm gonna accept him. Versus darker brother, you looking at him like, what's his angle? What he trying to? What he about to try to rob me or something? It could be totally vice versa. So I believe that a lot of brothers are not even brothers. People are really unconscious to the fact that they are doing this. And so once they get advanced in life and they see the darker brother, they automatically, unconsciously or subconsciously, have negative stigmas in their mind, put it on this hue already of people. So they feel like, you know what, I ain't even gonna deal with them, because I'm gonna label every one of them as negative. Because that's what, and I hate to say it, the social norms in society has kind of conditioned us to think. Look at what they perpetrate. Look at what they put in front of us. Look at the television. Look at majority of the people that you see on these commercials are either Caucasians or of lighter hue. Just pay attention to what's going on. And so once you continuously flash images in front of people's psyche, continuously, day after day after day after day, unconsciously you're taking these impressions in your mind, and so you begin to form opinions of people and of things, dealing with people that you really don't even consciously are aware of. And that's kind of what's going on today, if you really look at a deeper layer of it. And so it's just a point of people awakening and training themselves to say, yo, I was tripping. I can't believe I was looking at it like that. And so, and it's being honest. I was at a barbershop talk event the other day, and a Caucasian male said something in there that totally shocked me off guard. He said, I realized that I was prejudiced. I was prejudiced in my actions that I was doing. He said, I didn't understand it, and I didn't realize it until somebody pointed it out to me. And so it's the same thing. A lot of us be prejudiced in our own right against our own people or against darker hues because of, and not to take the blame off them, because it all reverts back to self. Because once you know better, you do better, right? So if you know the truth and you acknowledge the truth, even if you don't acknowledge it, once you know the truth gonna hit home. Now, what you do from then on out, then that's the point that determines kind of your character, if your character is shady or not, or what's going on. But not to go on a tangent or nothing, but yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people are unconscious to what's really going on. And for those that are conscious, they are just so far ingrained in their selfishness and me getting ahead and me trying to advance these particular people versus them. They're too selfish to even think about helping a brother. They don't even see you as a brother. They see you as another Negro on the street who really could care less about it. If you drop dead or you get beat by the police or you get anything happen to you, you freeze to death, they could care less because it's not them. And that's selfishness. And you have a lot of people who are selfishness, who are malicious, but society has continuously perpetuated this image of what's beautiful and what's acceptable and what's natural, that we internalize this and take it in. So majority.
So I got a question for you though. Hold on, let me stop. I got to read the comments because we won't get it.
Yeah, we got a bunch of comments.
Natanya said, "That's my point.
Okay,
that's right." She was talking about the advancement of colored people, lighter colored people over darker. Priscilla Wright said, "Hello, brothers. It's good to hear brothers talk on this level."
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, and then we got Karen Jonah who said, "My father, who happens to be dark skinned, was very strong and able to stand in any company. So I just assumed that it was your confidence that made you amazing." Natanya said, "Beyonce was the standard of beauty for a whole generation, brother." Yeah. Okay. And then Priscilla Wright said, "Speak." And then Natanya said, "We as people have to be healed from the trauma of colorism in our families before we can extend the love to each other.
Yeah.
Color struck is a real thing."
Oh yeah,
those are very true. Yeah.
And she said, "Honestly, black people don't trust black people that look like black people. They don't trust." Think about it. And then Karen Joyner said, "So we are doing it to ourselves because we identify different levels of black, then we keep the cycle going. Sad." That's actually what I wanted to talk about. Like, how long are we going to use the narrative of colorism as an excuse? And when are we going to change it? Like, for instance, I can give you an example. The white people, even the Hispanic people, the Italian people that are in my network, when they say something that is racially insensitive, I don't get upset. I tell them like, "Hey, do you know how that's perceived?" But what a lot of people do is defend intent over outcome.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
And so we need to, I don't care about the intent. I'm telling you the results of your actions and what they're doing in present state. So why aren't we? Yes, we know that media has portrayed an image, but when are we going to redefine that? When are we going to say, you know what? That's insensitive. I don't care if no other dark-skinned people are around. Don't say that. Or that's offensive. I don't care if no other light-skinned people are around. Don't say that or don't do that. Or when white people or people of other ethnicities as a whole make racially insensitive comments, why aren't we finding a way to advance ourselves by addressing the issue? And everything doesn't have to be confrontational.
Right.
For some strange reason, we feel like we got to get angry to be truthful. You don't have to be angry to be truthful, but you can address those issues. So my question is, why do we continue to talk about it? And why just we won't impact change? Why you don't use your lighter skin to help somebody?
Go ahead, my brother.
I do. Thank you. I do. Whenever I get the chance. So
y'all believe
That's right.
So now there's there is definitely a bunch of things. So first I will say, first Natanya said, "I don't care what you intend to do if you slap my face." Facts. That's true. And the quote goes, or the quotable goes, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." So
y'all, he spoke scripture last, and now he's talking about hell. I don't know this guy. This is Bishop.
What? That was my dad's favorite quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes. It's on my Facebook page. That is one of my favorite quotes in life, because intent is completely outclassed and outweighed by the after effects, outcome, result, any of that.
I thought Iron Sharpened Iron was your favorite.
That's one of my favorites. Those are like my two favorites. And so the thing else is accountability, and that's correct. So when you brothers were talking, you both of you raised extremely good points. And so I first want to answer your question, Brother Jay, and you said that how come we talk about it, but there's not as much action as there is talk. And I will say, in my opinion, we have a hard time advancing past the conversation because, as I said before, the conversation gets bogged down with me. And you said it, Kerwin, brother, when you said selfishness. So you have certain people who are in a position of privilege or in a position to necessarily, or not even privilege, but to access to different things, as the Brother Jay said, but they put their feelings into it and there's too much self in it. Like, oh, that hurts my feelings, or they get defensive. So until the emotions are taken out of the conversation and we deal with the the actuality and the facts, as I said before, the conversation gets stagnant. And so that's why we talk about it in a lot of different spaces, and the conversation moves at a snail's pace. And there's not a lot of chance for action to be taking place. Yes, white supremacy and racism are the I guess progenitors of colorism. Colorism is their brainchild, it's their baby. However, in our community, we definitely need to take action. I agree with that. I'm just saying that the conversation, it stops because certain people get in their head and they get in their hearts in the wrong way, and the conversation goes left or it stops altogether. So, and I definitely agree that action is there. I think we could definitely make progress, especially now in just current generation with the other strides we're making. We can definitely make great strides in eliminating colorism, if not altogether, but definitely having open conversations about it and getting it out of the way more so than it has been. And I also think that we have conversations about it. Social media and this current generation is, you know, having great conversations about it. Like I said, it just gets bogged down. And that's unfortunate because I think that unlike racism as a whole, I think colorism could be washed away in a couple of decades versus, you know, centuries, maybe, you know, with racism. So.
You was about to say something, brother?
That's right. As the brother said, the brother has some good valid points. Colorism, a lot of people, they begin to get in their feelings when you begin to speak on these things happening. So once this group of people get in their feelings, then they feel like they should automatically become divisive, or they should automatically take the situation or the conversation to another level. And so individuals don't want to deal with people who are functioning on that level. If I come to you and I say, yo, brother, I don't like you calling me a nigger, and you get offensive and say, bro, they've been calling you this all your life, whoop. And so the average person gonna say, you know what, he's not of understanding and sound mind and maturity, spiritually mature enough or mentally mature enough to deal with this conversation as adults. So you know what, I'm just gonna stay away from them. And so that's kind of what happened. And so and I don't know if people just do this unconsciously or what, because you could tell them something going on, and you could tell them something is wrong, but even though they feel some type of way, or they believe in some type of way, they automatically just reject what you're saying, even though they know what you're saying is the truth. And so first off, we're going to have to actually get truthful with ourselves and realize that this is a conversation that has to be had amongst our people. Especially, I believe this generation is one of the generations that kind of push this forward, because this generation is more of open mind. They're more apt to listen and more apt to help in the situation and solving a problem. And so one of the first things I believe, as the brother said, we have to just see everybody as our brother and our sister, and meaning not in actual sibling sense, but meaning in sense of we are of the same hue. I don't care if you Michael Jackson like. I don't care if you know what I'm saying. If you're very white, black. I don't care what are you still of African hue, of African descent, African American descent, black, regardless. And so you are my brother and my sister regardless. Now how your character is, that's on a whole nother level. How your character is, so you got to judge people character based off of their actions and not their colors. And so that's another one of the things that we got to kind of focus on, is just making a distinction between that. And so we can't put everybody who's of darker hue in a negative light and just automatically write them off, or everybody of a lighter hue in a positive light and say that we're gonna give them a pass because he light, or he should be the champion in the front line. Or nah, we got to all see each other as one body, and we got to move forward and have honest conversations like this in order to tackle these issues without people getting their feelings. And so that's the main thing. You got to put it out there. You got to talk about it. And if people don't want to be a part of the conversation, then you got to keep it moving on. Like you can't get bogged down with arguing with them about it, with fussing with them about it, or nothing, because the truth is the truth. Some people gonna accept the truth, some people ain't. Some people's gonna hurt them, some people gonna love it. And so that's one of the main things that we gotta do. But I believe this generation right here is one of the main ones that kind of advance getting rid of colorism on all levels. Really, because if you look at it, and I was thinking about it earlier, right? Not only is this issue of colorism perpetrated over here and advanced over here in other countries as well. If you look at India, if you look at South America, if you look at just different places, you will see people they promote as of lighter hue versus the darker ones, they tend to kind of hide them. And so this is kind of perpetrated all over the world. the world now. And so once you look at it as a global problem, you begin to say, okay, well, you know what, we need to go ahead on and fix ours. For me, it gives me more incentive to say, yo, we got to go ahead on and get what's going on right over here, because there's people over there suffering. So I can't go over there trying to point out their problems and help them when we ain't even helping ourselves and trying to advance our own people. And so people just got to get serious about the matter, man. And get out there.
Okay, you got some comments, bro. It says, Karen Joyner said, we don't change because then we would all fall in one category. Not light skin or dark skin, just one race, black. Natalia said, we don't have time to convince people of truth. If their level of understanding is not up to par, then keep it moving. I actually fall into two categories with that. She said white supremacy has infiltrated the whole world, including India, China, and Australia.
Been there.
I agree with that. And I honestly think that that's probably one of my frustrations with these type of conversations. We go on defending why it exists,
right,
versus talking about what I can do in my community. Like what I can do in my community right now today is when I see the Kerwins of my community is not do the insensitive things. And I also don't have to, as a brother, say things that will attempt to attack your masculinity because of your color of your skin. Yes, we can't control what other people are doing, but we can control us.
In the community, that's right.
We can control us, and we can control how we impact our community. Because let's be honest, there's some places I probably would never go in this world, so I don't really care, but this is my world. And you guys are a part of my world, so I can stop some of the ignorances that I do. And I'm one of these people that believe this. Yes, it's not my job to tell you of all your ignorances that you already know. Anybody who say that they're unaware is lying, because you are aware. You have just conditioned yourself to suppress your ignorance. You have conditioned yourself to not care. And those are other things that we can talk about at another time. But you know your ignorance. And the only thing that I can do is not partake in it. And we got to stop leaving because we don't want to. Which means if I'm sitting somewhere and you're ignorant and you're practicing colorism, I'm not going to get up and stop eating. I'm going to tell you it's wrong, and I'm going to continue to eat. I think we have a problem with confrontation, and it doesn't have to be all that. If you don't agree, that's fine. But I'm going to address it and say I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? And so I really would like for us to really do things in our community to impact that change. The things that stuck with me is that you had to learn to love yourself and get over that. The other thing is it was an attack at your masculinity, because the very first thing people say that is soft. And you have so many people who claim that there is an attack on masculinity, but they don't want to acknowledge the masculine ones who are attacking masculinity. And so we got to address it all. Natalia said we need conversations to be solution-based versus debating methods. We agree.
Of course,
that's right.
Malika said that there are so many levels of trauma and conditioning in the concept of colorism. It really boils down to self-hate that has been passed down through atrocity. And it's a world issue, honestly. Yep, we already addressed that. And Karen said we have to be willing to have the conversation, and it would not be easy. No, I agree. But before we even have words, we can change our actions.
That's correct.
The very first conversation we need to have is changing our action.
Conversation starts here and here.
And that's very important to me, because I have two daughters. One is of a darker hue and one is of a lighter hue. So we have to have those conversations, because guess what? It was introduced to them even at 4. You know, so people know that. And so we got to talk about colorism as a whole. But the very first conversation is your action. One of the movies that stuck with me every time I think about colorism, every time I think about racism, every time I think about the story, I think about Sidney Poitier's To Sir with Love. If you haven't seen that movie, that's like an amazing movie that addresses so many things. And if you never read Sidney Poitier's life, his story is amazing. But I look at how he was probably a pioneer dark-skinned actor in a white world who made probably a strong impact with the darkest hue. And he was always civil in the way that he addressed things, and he had a way of shutting people up to make them listen. We need more Sidney Poitiers. We don't have to always rah-rah at people. There is a way to make an impact, and the very first conversation starts with your actions. It was something you was going to say? Hold on, what time is it?
Oh, you know, man.
Man, it's 9:21.
Man.
But it was something you was about to say, Kerwin?
Dang. Time be flying, man. When you get down to the gist of things, to the nitty gritty, man, it flies by.
Sure.
It starts ultimately. It starts with self. First and foremost, it starts with self. You got to be the message you bring. You can't propagate one thing but practice another. These are some of the principles that I stand on. And so, it as a person, as an upright human being, you have to begin to cultivate self first in order to take the message out and even improve your household. You got to internalize this and get over whatever flaws and faults that you have. So you won't be saying one thing and doing something else, because we know and understand that your household is going to watch your actions. They don't listen to what you say. Yeah, okay. But when your actions don't align with what you're saying, now they really don't know how to take you. And guess what? They're more likely to lean on your actions, whether consciously or subconsciously. So the first thing is start with self. Then you take it to your household. Then you take it to your family. Then they take it in part to the community. And that's the order and the chain of event of things that has to go in order for us to address this issue thoroughly. But first and foremost, you got to start with self. You got to begin to notice the things that you do, the stigmas you do. When these ideas pop in your mind, when you see somebody of darker hue, you got to automatically shut them down. You got to kill these ideas immediately on sight, because if not, they're like weeds that fester in your garden. And once they begin to grow, they begin to kill the life force, that humane thing that's inside of you, that spirit that begins to dim your light. And so you got to notice what you're thinking and why am I thinking this? That's one of the things when I begin to kind of learn self, I begin to ask myself, why do I feel like that? I would get mad at certain things. Why did that make me mad? And I will replay it. That made me mad because of such and such and such and such. Well, why do I feel like that? Now I'm back in childhood. And then it's like, you a grown man. You're going to keep holding on to something from childhood. This is making you feel this type of way, and you this old. Like, you have to let go. But so I ask myself, why do I feel like this? Or why did I think that? And this, in turn, helped me begin to come up with solutions for myself. And so for individuals who need kind of a blueprint or a format, you got to begin to ask yourself, why? Yeah. Why did I feel like that? Why did I say that? Why did I think that? Was my actions wasn't aligned? Something I do every night. I try to do majority every night, majority every day. I mean, in the mornings when I wake up, every night I lay down and I give myself a couple minutes and I try to recap my day, right? And so I kind of rewind it and say, okay, what did I do today that was kind of in line with myself and my values, and what I could have done better and how I could have done better. And I build with myself. I build with myself in order to build myself up. And so that's one of the things that we're going to have to do. We're going to have to take it seriously. We're going to have to take the colorism seriously. A lot of people take it as a joke. Like, they don't believe it exists. They'll come up with every excuse that it don't exist. This is 2000s. That was back in 1960. They'll come up with everything in the book to kind of fool themselves. And so we got to take the issue seriously. We got to begin to work on self. But like his brother said, it all starts with self. You have to begin to work on yourself first and foremost.
I'm going to give y'all a nugget. That's part of the Love is a Parable training. One of the things that we teach is self-love and corporate love is identical. I mean, it's simultaneous. You use that interchangeably. That's the word. Interchangeably. Because it's impossible for me to love you if I don't love myself. But it's impossible for me to love me and not love you. Because if I appreciate me, I appreciate you. And we got to realize that, yes, there are some things that are really big. We're called human for a reason. It is a construct, a grammatical construct of hue, meaning color, and man, meaning of humanity, mankind. So we are all human.
That's right.
But in that appreciation, in this thing called life, and that appreciation of self, this is the part that we miss. We think that self-love is separation, but it's not. Self-love is inclusion, because there are going to be things about myself that I may not be comfortable with until I meet you. Or there may be things that you may not be comfortable with, and I will come into your life and say, why did you even think that, man? You see what I'm saying? But we don't understand how self really is formated. Self is part of us, meaning it's a collective we in self. So if we want to start talking about appreciating self, it's impossible for you to appreciate self and not appreciate other humans. It's impossible for you to appreciate other humans and not appreciate yourself. And we got to kill those absolute statements. There are some people who actually do like them, meaning, I got to be clear. I can love my skin tone, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-light skin. I can love my skin tone, and that doesn't mean I am anti-white, anti-Latino, anti-Italian, anti-Germanic. I can love everything about me, just like you got a right to love you, and it doesn't have to be anti. My brother has this statement that stuck with me, and it says, equal rights for me doesn't mean less rights for you. It's not a pie. The same thing happens with love and awareness. Me appreciating myself doesn't mean I have to be against you or it's less of you. We got to really get to that place where we have these conversations and realize by me separating myself, I'm robbing you of an opportunity to really get to love me. And I'm robbing myself of an opportunity of really getting to love you. I can't appreciate who I am. I can't understand who I am in isolation. We need to kill that noise about it. Get in it with people. Yes, it's going to be some people that you don't gel with, but I guarantee you there are hundreds of people that do. Love is a parable is a movement of that. It is 700 of us who have never met each other, who have all connected. So the hell with the hell with those who don't. Connect with those who do. Let's stop defending the negative part and acknowledge the positive things that are happening and talk about what we can do to change that, man.
We're a communal people.
That's right.
So, like the brother said, separation is not natural for us. Humans, they malfunction in isolation and when they're separated.
See, Kerwin, I ain't gonna let you back on this show no more. I ain't gonna let you back on no more, Kerwin.
That's right. It's a breakdown now, brother. We got to get to the deeper root. We got to get to the root of the problem in order for us to really get to the nitty gritty to come up with solutions, effective solutions.
I said I ain't gonna let you back on here no more because you eat up all our time. But we got a couple of things. Natanya says self-awareness is a beautiful thing. Thea D. Parker says she loved this. And she says everyone always points the finger, but not internal work. Natanya said, folks be lying. They know all these things exist because they participate in it. Thea Parker said, we have been mentally trained to think separation. Yes. And Natanya said, yes, sir. And then Natanya came back and said, pro me doesn't mean anti-you.
That's correct.
You better make that a post or I'm going to steal it.
That's always correct.
Okay.
That's right.
We at that time, bro. Good. Highlight some positive brothers. Kerwin, go.
Positive brothers. First and foremost, I want to highlight myself. I want to highlight my father, my brother, my uncles, my cousins, those who stuck with me in hard times. I want to highlight Marcus Garvey, Medgar Evers, the freedom fighters, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, everybody who stand up for change and who stand up for against injustice and who live by truth. I want to give a shout out to you.
I'm gonna do mine 3 different sections. Past positive brothers, definitely gonna do Marcus Garvey, definitely gonna do Malcolm X, 2 of my all-time favorite activists ever. As well, present, I'm gonna just do the 2 brothers I'm in the room with right now. Well, 1 virtual room, 1 actual room with right now. So these 2 brothers, of course, you know what I'm saying. My dad, my uncles, my close people, my close brothers in my circle, and also future. I will say all the future brothers that I'm gonna meet at the cookout on March 24th, the Brother Empowerment Cookout.
Yeah.
All the future brothers gonna meet there, and just
I'll
in
be
life
there.
in general, that we're gonna cross paths and really connect and really do work and put boots to the ground. You know, I shout out all those brothers as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely shout out. I do like the idea of shouting out brothers who played who paved the way for us. Because Sidney Poitier was essential, so I gotta shout out Sidney Poitier. My favorite poet of all times is Saul Williams.
Ooh, yeah,
so I have to shout out Saul Williams. The square root of she is he, like, changed my life in so many different levels. So I gotta talk about Saul Williams. I have to give a shout out to Anthony T. Browder. The 22 Fouls changed my life. Those were great things. I want to give a shout out to all of my brothers. I name them all the time. It's a billion of them. But to all of my brothers, definitely Cordell, my chief technology officer. We're handling business. We're handling real business. Kerwin, I'm so glad that our paths met, and I know that we're going to be brothers for a very long time. Even in the other life, I know that we're going to be brothers. I definitely want to give a shout out to JC, who's on here. A shout out to Christian, who's my new brother, who just connected through social media. Ladarius, my new brother, who just connected through social media. And so I want to challenge anybody that's on right now. Find that brother that is doing something great and tell him that you appreciate him. Tell him that you love him. Tell him, encourage him to keep doing that great thing. Keep doing that great thing. The other thing is, we talked about March 24th. We almost getting to the cutoff because it's 100. And we need to know how much food to bring. So guys, please go ahead and get your tickets so you can go ahead and get on the list so we can make sure we have enough food, drinks, and things like that. But tell people, if you want to know more about it, connect with me, connect with Cordell, connect with Kerwin. Visit loveisaparable.com if you need to find any information. We are raising money because we want to do not only more free cookouts like what we're doing, but we also want to offer free trainings. And I see that it's a great opportunity to collaborate with Kerwin because he's in that same vein. So guys, we need your support. The only way that we can advance the mission of Love is a Parable, the vision is unity. And we want to get there through promoting love and random acts of kindness while providing love education, love advocacy, and love therapy. You want to become a certified love advocate because you get all of those things. Connect with us. Yes, Natalia, tickets are still available. You can go to Love is a Parable, hit happenings. You can go there and find it, or you can hit the event tab at Love is a Parable on Facebook, and it'll take you all to the same place. Or you can just go to Eventbrite directly and put in Brother Empowerment, and you will have us. Kerwin, I definitely want to say, man, I want to tell you I appreciate you.
For sure. Yes.
I appreciate you for making a difference. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you making a sacrifice to make changes. And I also appreciate you being the seed that's willing to be broken to produce those beautiful flowers and produce those beautiful crops. One of my favorite passages is, here's another, I'm about to drop it. Jeremiah 4:4. It says, break up your fallow ground, don't sow among thorns. The one thing that make this statement so interesting, break up your fallow ground, meaning you want to break up a ground that has potential to grow things. Fallow ground is something that has potential to grow. And the reason why it said don't sow among thorns, thorns don't just come in one season. Thorns come over a lifetime of not using areas that you didn't tap into. So use your potential and know that you are a fallow ground and you just need a little tilling. Connect with us. Connect with people that will help you produce that fruit that is within you. Break up your fallow ground, don't sow among thorns. And Kerwin, don't ever forget who you are and the impact that you're making. We love you, brother.
We do. We definitely love you.
Thank you, my brother.
All right.
I love y'all too.
Y'all have a good night. Take care.